Now look, if you head down to your local biker meet, pretty much everybody has an action camera now, but there are some key mistakes that some people might be making that means they're not getting the optimal footage. And so in this mini series, we're going to draw on our 10 years or so of making motorcycle content with cameras like these to give you the best chance of getting the best shots. Now, number one, and this applies to any camera, not just action cameras, but also your phone and stuff like that, is having a dirty lens. It doesn't matter how good your camera is. If you've got it covered in dirt and grime and grease, then it's always going to look a bit blurry and suboptimal. Specifically as well with motorcycling, if you've got it mounted on the bike somewhere, it's going to pick up road spray and dust and things like that. So it's worth making sure that the lens is clean every time you go out to shoot something. Personally, in my camera bag, I always have a couple of Zeiss lens wipes, which you can buy in bulk on Amazon. They're like little alcohol prep pads, and so super handy for cleaning cameras or your glasses or your visor or stuff like that. So definitely pack a couple of those. This one is a sort of vacuum packed microfiber cloth, and so these are handy as well. If you run out of these, this is a good fallback. But to be honest, anything is better than nothing, and quite often I just give it a quick wipe with my t-shirt, assuming that most days your t-shirt's fairly clean. The other thing to keep in mind as well is that the lens cover can get damaged if you stick it in your bag and you've got other stuff in there like keys or mounts or things like that. But the great thing is with the DJI cameras that we use, these just simply screw off and then you can screw a fresh one on. And so yeah, if you're ever unfortunate enough to get a big scratch on your lens, which is of course going to ruin all your footage, well, it's a fairly quick and affordable fix. Now, number two is bad aim. You see, if you've got your camera pointing a little bit too low and showing too much of the bike, or if it's pointing too high and all you've got is, majority sky, well, it's just not going to be that interesting to watch, and it's not going to show what's happening on the road to the best of your abilities. Now, naturally, if you've got a camera mounted on the bike, you can check the screen on the back or the front-facing screen to make sure it's framed as you wish. But things do get a little more difficult when it's mounted on your chin or chest, because you can't really see the rear-facing screen when it's right up against your helmet or your jacket. Thankfully though, most action cameras have a companion app, like DJI's Mimo, and so the thing I do pretty much every time I go and film something is just fire the app up, pair it with the camera and start the preview, and make sure I double check that the camera is pointed exactly how I want it. The key thing is as well to sit on the bike as you would when you're riding, so you've got to be looking straight ahead, have your feet on the pegs and get a hold of the bars. But as long as you do that, then you can pretty much guarantee that you're going to get things sweetly centered. Now, the number three mistake not to make is dodgy mounts, and I think Tim will agree that this isn't always my strongest point. I've lost a couple of action cameras over the years, but certainly I think I'm learning and getting better. One thing is these alcohol wipes again. They're absolutely invaluable, because if you are sticking a sticky mount onto a helmet or a part of the bike like that, you want to make sure it's clean so you get really good adhesion. Thing is though, helmets can be a little bit tricky because of all the shapes and contours on the surface. It can be quite tough sometimes to find somewhere perfectly flat, and so one thing to potentially look into is something specific to your helmet, like this one that I got from Chin Mounts. Basically what they do is design a dedicated mount for each helmet and then 3D print it, and so while they are a little bit expensive, I'd say, if you are using the same lid for a year or two, then I think personally it's worth it. A good bar mount is also another option if you want to get more creative shots, like facing back at you or pointing at the dash, or you can even put them on the bar end and get other parts of the bike. But I will say, invest in a good one. This is from DJI themselves, and also be double sure that you've got it tightened down properly and that whatever you've tightened it to isn't going to move. Otherwise, you might see your camera skittling down the road. Lastly, we all like to get a bit creative, so if you're trying something a little bit daring, which I've been known to do on occasion, well, there is the option of something like the surf tether that DJI sell on their website, which does mean that if your mount fails, there's a little bit of a fallback in that the tether will hopefully catch it. Number 4 is not having a good plan for your batteries, because if you do run out of battery, you can guarantee that's going to be the time that you miss that one amazing, unique occurrence that can sometimes happen out on the road. Personally as well, you know, a lot of the stuff we do where we're doing press rides and stuff like that, you only get one chance, and so often there's not a chance to go back and reshoot stuff. And so yeah, you definitely want to get on top of your battery situation. Personally, I always have a couple of batteries on charge so that I can put a fresh one in each camera every time I go out to film. But also, I stick one of these triple battery packs in my bag as well, just so I've got a fallback in case one of the cameras gets switched on in my bag or I accidentally leave it running. The great thing as well about one of these is that it actually doubles as a power bank. It's got a USB-C port on the end there, and so if any of your other devices start to run out of juice, like your phone or your Cardo or your other camera, then you can plug them into this, stick it in your bag, and hopefully by the time you get to your next stop, it's already charged back up. Next up though, we've got to talk about audio, because really good audio can make or break a piece of content, and good audio can make it seem much more professional. Thing is though, with an action camera, naturally it's located in a very windy spot if it's on your chin or chest, and also the same could be said for if it's mounted on the bars or down on the side of the bike. So here's a sample of what you get straight out of the camera. And I think we can all agree that that would get a little bit wearying to listen to if it was for a sustained piece of content. Now there are options to, you know, fit like a wind jammer or wind muff or a piece of foam or something like that that do help to keep a little bit of that wind noise down. But my recommendation, if you're serious about it, is to get something like a wireless mic, and then you can either stick it in your helmet if you want to vlog, or you can put it in your pocket and it's going to hopefully pick up a bit of exhaust sound or engine sound or induction sound. These, I think, are fairly decent value for money, and they compare directly with the camera itself, and so really good for ease of use and convenience. I will say, personally though, I do use on occasion a separate sound recorder just for like the best possible audio quality, but it is a little bit more hassle to sync it in the edit and stuff like that. So if you want the sound on the files right in the camera, then for me, this is the best solution. Now, I don't mean to patronize you, but number 6 is forgetting to record, and I think it's something that we've all done, and it really is gutting, especially for someone like Tim, who may join me for a whole day's filming only to get back and check the footage and realize that one of the cameras wasn't actually running, even though you could swear you'd hit the button.
That sort of sounds like I was the one that didn't hit the button now.
Oh no, yeah, just to point out, that was me. And I've done it multiple times. Tim's very consistent at hitting record, but unfortunately I'm not. The measures I've taken though to improve this situation: number 1, I'm making sure that the LED on the front of the camera, if it has one, is always switched on, so you can glance in the mirror, check it's flashing, and that's just like a safety net to make sure it's on, because again, like with framing, when it's mounted on your chin, it's not that easy to check. 2, keep the beeps on as well. When you press the start button, you can have it beep, and that's just a nice little audio cue. Or number 3, if you want to be absolutely sure, there is a wireless remote accessory which will give you a very clear cue as to whether it's running or not. The other thing to make sure you get a hold of as well is the fact that you can change modes on these cameras by pressing the side button, and so it's very easy to think that you're recording a video only to get back and realize that you've shot a photo or a time lapse or a slow-mo or something like that. We've all done it. I think, Tim, you've said you've had that occurrence as well. And so my tip here is actually that on the Action 5, for example, you can limit the number of options from this side button. So I've got it to the minimum, which is just photo and video. And hopefully that means I'm less likely to end up with the wrong sort of footage. So that, my friends, rounds off our top mistakes to avoid with action cameras. If you want to see the full video of this Osmo Action 5 Pro, then I'll put it on the screen now so you can check it out and get all the details of the best features of this particular camera. Do leave any questions you've got down in the comments below and I'll try to get back to you. And also hit subscribe if you want more videos like this about all the latest motorcycle tech. A huge thanks for watching today, and we'll see you in the next video.